everybody, and welcome to Sportcat's Daily Gazette. Yes, Wendell, I am a few minutes late. It's because we've got so much to cover today, and I was trying to get as much information as I could. Hope everybody's doing great today. We are live now, I believe, on Radio X in Australia. So if any of the listeners from Radio X would like to jump into the YouTube chat, you can go over to the Paranormal Guys, 3 words, guys with a Z, on YouTube. Jump in the chat, jump in the live chat. Let me know if we're live on Yerg's Radio, which we are always live on Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio. And if you're hearing us down under. Of course, down under, I believe it's like 3 a.m., so I'm not sure. We'll see. Hopefully somebody will jump in and let us know. So, so everybody's having a great day, I hope. First thing I want to do today is, yesterday we talked a lot about the measles and how it wasn't as big of a deal as being portrayed. Well, you know, the media doesn't always have the information 100%, and we're finding out a little bit more, and we're finding out why we didn't have the information. So we're going to jump into this. Let me get this up and out of the way here. So everybody on Spotify and everything, all my links are listed. I show them on the site as I'm showing them, and you can go check them out. This one is from healthline.com, and it's talking about the child that has died of measles. There are conflicting reports that there have been 1 or 2 children that have died. The DHS secretary said 2. Some media outlet reports are two persons. The other one is saying that it's definitely, they're all saying one is definitely a child. So this is the first measles death in the United States since 2015, and it's been reported in Western Texas. They're saying 124. That number is going to fluctuate depending upon the media outlet you view, as we'll see here in a bit. Some say 114, some say 124. At any case, it's greater than 100. Now, this is not an epidemic yet. And contrary to what some people are spreading, fake news, that this is all because of Trump MAGA people not taking vaccines, that is not 100% accurate. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so experts say that measles is one of the most contagious illnesses in the world. Well, that is correct, because if you're exposed, one person is exposed, that one person therefore exposes 10 people. And we'll see, I got an alert from a fan that there was a recent exposure in Texas, and that's going to be a big deal. So we'll get into that too. This is the first death since 2015. This is a preventable disease, and most children are vaccinated within the first 15 months of their life, and then somewhere depending upon state and local guidelines. Wendell says he sent River a link to the show. Not sure what that means, but okay. I lost my train of thought there. Oh, if one person is exposed, you'll expose 10. And we have a report from a fan in Kentucky where a person has been exposed that was in a gym. So it's going to spread, but it is preventable. Most, as I was saying, get the first vaccine between 12 and 15 months, depending upon local and state guidelines. It's anywhere from 3 to 6 years of age after that. And there are boosters for the elderly, and the elderly boosters are not mandatory. I believe the only boosters that are mandatory are if you're in the healthcare, public safety profession. Don't quote me on that, because each state has their own regulations upon that. There's no regulation for like EMS saying EMS has to be vaccinated for blah, 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 or PD or fire has to. There's nothing like that. So it varies from state to state. But this death stems from an outbreak in the South Plains region of Texas. And here's the key that we didn't get, and the reason we did not get the information correctly, because they're claiming freedom of religion, and that's going to okay, thank you, Wendell. That's going to be a delay in reporting in Texas, because they're claiming Second Amendment. It's not Second Amendment, that's firearms. They're claiming freedom of religion. Apparently in their religion, they are there's apparently, I don't know, I didn't research, but apparently they're anti-vax, are anti-government, or they're anti-something. So I don't know on the Mennonite community, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but apparently not all of the Mennonite community is vaccinated, which is going to be a problem. They said that most of the cases, 101, are children under the age of 18, and only 5 of those cases have occurred who are known to have been vaccinated. That's right at 95%, if I'm doing my math correct. Health and Human Services has not commented. I went to their website just prior to this, and there was no press release. RFK Jr. has not stated anything publicly other than what was listed in the, I guess, cabinet briefing yesterday. He says that he will investigate childhood. We're talking about RFK Jr. is going to investigate childhood vaccination schedules, which includes measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, and he is putting a vaccine advisory meeting together. But he's canceled a campaign to promote the flu vaccine. Well, Chris says, I will personally put on a dozen masks to prevent this spread, YouTube overlords. Hello, Denise. Welcome to the show. Yes, you are correct, Wendell. They do not go to the doctors. They do not. The Mennonite community does not believe in modern medicine. But as in most religions, there's the ones that is correct. They believe that God will heal them. There are the ones that are, I'm trying to think of the correct word here without getting in trouble, are devout and follow the rules 100%. And there are those that loosely follow the rules. Like, for instance, I have friends that are members of the Latter-day Saints, and they still drink coffee, but you're not supposed to have caffeine. Well, and they drink sodas too, which have caffeine. So you have the people who do everything, and you have people who do some. Now here's the headline I don't like, because we're going to find out this is already false. The measles outbreak is unlikely to spread outside of Texas. Well, we're going to find that that's not true. It's already in New Mexico. We just got from an alert listener, actually just came out this morning, a Kentucky case. That's not very close to Texas. We are a free society. We roam about. We've had open borders for 4 years. So there's a lot of people moving around in our country. Business moves in our country. Mail moves in our country. So this is probably not going to stay in one place, as we'll see, and it's probably going to grow. The problem we're going to have with it being starting in that community is the lack of information that we're going to get. That's going to be a big problem, but it is the most contagious. I know North Carolina had already instituted a mask policy, so I'm sure that will start coming. I have not done my homework to see if that will work for this. Not to get kicked off of YouTube, but masks are ineffective for most known viruses and illnesses. They are a barrier, but I'll leave it at that. So yeah, we're going to have to keep following this. It is one of the most dangerous. Says symptoms will appear within the first 14 days. That's not 100% true. Depending on the person, it could be up to 30 days, depending on the person's immune system, their health, etc. You'll notice first a skin rash, followed by a high fever, cough, sore throat, and eye irritation. And it takes about 11 to 12 days and can spread from person to person as early as 4 days before the symptoms appear. So it's caused by the rubella virus and is extremely contagious. And they are airborne and can be suspended in air and up to 2 hours. So they're saying it's the attack rate is one of the highest of all viral diseases, which makes it more common among unvaccinated individuals. So if you aren't vaccinated by now, get your vaccination. So can put the vaccine 72 hours before exposure, but the problem is with the spreading, it's already out there. So far in the United States last year, there were only 285 cases. We're going to find that we're already higher than that, I believe. Globally, 10 million cases. It's more common in third world countries, Southeast Asia, places like that. Who should get the vaccine? Children. 2 doses, and we will find that adults in later stages of life should be getting them as well, because as we get older, our immune system fails. Well, I won't say it fails, but it decreases. So it's probably a good idea to get vaccinated. Check with your doctor, please. I am not giving medical advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a paramedic who likes to talk on a microphone. Chris says, believe the people who told us 5 years ago something didn't originate in a lab in a content on a continent that begins with a yes. Please don't read this aloud. You'll get in trouble. Well, Chris, it's too late, and I'll probably get in trouble. But well, the problem with any airborne virus is this, quite simple. And if this kicks me off YouTube, but some people hear it, then I'm happy. The masks are not effective. As a hazardous materials technician, I can tell you, if you can smell something, if you go into your local grocery store and smell the fried chicken through your mask, you can inhale the particulates of the viral or bacteria that are airborne. So the research has shown, and I believe it was the University of Virginia or maybe Virginia Tech, when they were amongst that big virus that started with a C, they were trying to come up with a barrier to put over people's faces to prevent them from inhaling it. And they found that there was nothing you could put on that would not restrict oxygen to the point of suffocation. So I don't know. So I don't know where Salty is. I hope he appears, because last night's show, he was on fire. He was on fire. It was a great show last night. So, all right. So takeaway is we now have a death in the United States in Texas, and we need to start keeping an eye on this. So this is going to start making headlines. It's going to be one of those headlines where it's clickbait. It's get your attention. It's one of those things. It's going to be newsworthy. So yes, Chris, the show was on fire. For those of you that missed the show last night, the show was great last night, so go make sure to check out the show. The first hour was lit, so I'll just leave it at that. Salty and Soul and Chris in the comments, oh, they made my allergies worse during the show. So there's a measles outbreak map. Now here's where there's a lot of conflicting data, and this actually comes from a reputable website, fastcompany.com, and they're just quoting CDC from what I found. The maps have not been updated because there hasn't been a death in so long. The maps have not been updated, so there's not a whole lot of good data out there. You're right, Chris. It was one of the headlines that wasn't important the past few years, but now it is. Something must have changed. Well, it did change. So, see, as of this time of the writing, there are more than 130 cases, and we already know that that's not true. We know that it's limited to Texas and New Mexico. We're going to find that that's not true. So this is bigger than they're actually letting us know. Some media is reporting it, some is not, but I sense that some of the headline news agencies, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, blah, 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 it's going to start being one of their top of the hour breaking news stories. So look for it coming to you. We see here they list Alaska has had 1 to 9, California 1 to 9, Georgia 1 to 9, New Jersey 1 to 9, New Mexico, New York City, Rhode Island, Texas, 50 to 99, which was the highest. One thing that a lot of these have in common is they all have an international airport. So, like I said, we're a society that moves about freely, and we do so. And not to mention that we have commerce. You know, this can be transmitted airborne up to 2 hours. If it lands on a package is delivered within 48 hours, boom, it's spread. So there's a lot to think about there. It talks about the same symptoms, the high fever. The rash is the first sign. I would have to go back and do my homework on the measles rash, but I want to say it usually starts in the back, and it starts in a circular pattern and then spreads outward. I'll have to check. That may be, what's the other one? There's two different ones that have rashes, and I'm pretty sure measles is the one with the circular one. Chris says, I hate admitting it because I don't really like the reason, but the change, if you want to be intellectually honest, you can't ignore the obvious. Well, that is correct. So measles can be deadly if it's not treated. The treatment really is, they're going to start with treating the pneumonia symptoms. They're going to start treating the fever. The fever, if they can break the fever, that's a very good thing because you're breaking the virus in the body. You're going to get high flow oxygen. You're going to get IV fluids and antiviral agents. So in some parts of the country, it is not mandatory to get your children vaccinated. And as we're finding out with people coming into our country from other countries, they don't have the same standards and guidelines that we do. So, yeah. They are wanting to charge for more vaccines. Well, no, it's not just that. The vaccines are a good thing. You know, like I was talking about with the flu vaccine. So somebody made a comment in one of my messages about the flu vaccine. The flu vaccine is basically an educated guess of what the flu is going to be this year and what the pathologists do and the diseaseologists. They look at what's in other countries because it's obviously winter and colder seasons in other parts of the world before it is here. And they want to guess what we're going to get here. So that's what the yearly flu virus is for. Now, if you've noticed here in the past couple years, they'll come out with a flu virus at the beginning of flu season. And then somewhere around the early parts of it, they'll say, hey, you need to get your updated flu vaccine. That's because they have a better guess of what the flu is. And now keep in mind, even with the one that starts with a C, just because you're vaccinated does not mean you will not get it. Now, that was fake news that was reported by the original people that invented the stick with the dart a couple years ago. You can still get it. And so it will lessen your chances of getting it, and it will lessen the severity of it. Personally, I've had all of the shots. It was a personal decision for me because my wife had to have them for her job. Our fire department was not mandatory. And so since my wife was going through it, I wanted to be supportive, and I went through it with Mrs. Sportcat. It was just a personal decision. I made it. It was no big deal. But yeah, so just because you do get a vaccine for something doesn't mean you won't get it. So, and so I believe your question was, can you update your shots? Yes, you can. Check with your doctor. They do have updates for it. All right, so here we see, let's see, this is fresh from the CDC. And we saw on that earlier site, they said there was more cases than this. The CDC is only reporting 93, and this is updated as of yesterday. Under 5 years of age, 28 cases, which is 30%. 5 to 19 years, 48, which is 52%. And then they go into the 20 plus in age unknown. Unvaccinated or unknown, 95%. The reason that's unknown is because of religious freedom. So it is what it is. Soul wants to say, do I remember the white bus from my old number? I don't remember a white bus. You can text me and let me know. I don't remember. U.S. hospitalization. And by the way, any of y'all can text my studio line, which is area code 492-6095, and it will get a message to me should you want to text me. You can call the number, but you're going to get a voicemail. I don't answer it because I get so much from it. 25% of the population, or 25% of the people that have come down with measles have required hospitalization. And that's probably mainly because of the age group. If you look under 5, we always treat that bracket a little bit different. Children get sick and they maintain their illness, and then suddenly they don't, meaning they deteriorate quickly. Their immune system fights as hard as it can 100% of the time, and then it's done. The problem with that is, unless you have lab work, unless you have, up to the minute information, you're not going to know when that critical point is. So that's why we hospitalize a lot of the pediatric cases for some things malignant even. Chris says, I respect your honesty and find your reasoning one of the most commendable things I've heard. You're a good guy, Glenn. Integrity is everything. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Like I said, we reported on this yesterday with Ross, and the information wasn't out there. And I wanted to go back and make sure that everybody knows that I was not 100% correct in my information because the information wasn't available. So I want to oversaturate it at this point. I want to make sure people understand that this is actually going to be a serious thing. So New Mexico in Lee County, I'll show you a map here in a minute. They have 9 cases. And here's the map of Texas where the outbreaks are. And if you look, it borders with New Mexico. These are the counties where there are this website, or this graphic that was just published today from the Department of Texas Human Health, is saying 124, whereas the CDC was saying, 93, 95? So there's a discrepancy. There's going to be discrepancy because of the religious freedom and because we haven't had to combat this disease and illness in so long. So, like I said, it's going to be one of these where, boom, it's in the news. Here's a map showing where the heaviest concentration is in Texas. I don't know the county name. I apologize. And then you can see borderlining New Mexico right there beside it. But ground zero, where there's 57, that is apparently where the Mennonite community resides. I'm trying to be respectful because I don't know what they call their community. Yeah. So that's where we need to be looking at. So we can ignore that for now. All right. So this is so you're in Oklahoma, so you're pretty close to ground zero there. I pulled this up, and this is probably the most recent. This is healthmap.org, and even at that, it's not that recent. They're saying that they've declared Lee County, New Mexico, has declared the emergency for a health department emergency. In Texas, it's already spread. But see, even in Texas, the information on this website, even though it's dated 27 February, is still a little bit behind. But they're still talking that it is there. It's not an epidemic yet, but I guess I would have to look up the actual definition of a epidemic or pandemic, because that will make all the difference in the world. But it will get big. Let's see. Chris, up where you are, they're unable to shake COVID, the long COVID. Long COVID is a disease that is pretty significant. The Congress is reporting COVID. There's not much down there for you in Oklahoma, Soul. Wendell, let's see, over in Alabama, I know you're over there. Well, there's something there. Health leaders are monitoring measles outbreak. Yes, everybody please hit that like, subscribe, thumbs up button over on Para Our Normal Guys with a Z. Here in Georgia, of course, we obviously are worried about it. Our flus are on the decline, which is good, but we do have measles cases. So That's to be determined, Soul. KG, if you're listening in Virginia, you're in the clear. But yeah, we can see. Let's go over here to Kentucky, where Amanda is, and you'll see they did update that the Kentucky man diagnosed the first case. So, yeah, Health Map is where you're going to get the most information from that. And we'll pull that up real quick. All right, Kentucky resident diagnosed with measles, first confirmed case in the state since 2023. Case of the measles, which is highly contagious, which was already reported. Kentucky residents, as the measles are on the rise globally, that is correct because the outbreak continues in Texas. Officials are working to contact individuals that may have come in contact with this person. He was in Frankfurt, and he was in a Planet Fitness on Monday between 7 a.m. between February 17th, between 9 a.m. and 12:15. It is an airborne virus. It can stay sustained in the air particles for up to 2 hours. And as we said earlier, your exposure can be 4 days before you know you're sick. So, see, even their information is all right. 8 to 12 days after exposures. That's not correct. It's dependent upon your immune system. You could be up to 30 days. So, those who've been exposed and are unvaccinated should quarantine for 21 days. That's going to be a big word we're going to start seeing here, folks. I hate to say that, but that's going to be a big word we're going to start seeing. Vaccine is administered to children in 2 doses. And in Kentucky, Amanda, if you're listening, only 90% of Kentucky kindergartners have received the vaccine, lower than the national average. Okay. Well, I hate to hear that. Like I said, it's a good idea to go ahead and get it. Science is there for it, you know. Science is there for it. Let's see. I know I have listeners in other parts of the country. And Wendell, you know, I still haven't gotten to your earthquake story. Doom loop is over. I don't know what the doom loop is in Washington. I almost want to click that just out of curiosity. I got so much to cover today. Epidemic and emerging disease alerts are on the rise in the Pacific. Let's hop down to, since I know down under today, let's see if there's anything down under I can click on. If I can get this map to go out far enough. There we go. Let's see what we have down under here in Australia. Business event. Bird flu outbreak has rocked a 4th poultry farm. That was as of the 24th. And 5 new deaths from meltdowns. I'm not sure what that is. It's a bacteria bone disease. We'll have to look that one up. 7 are dead by the deadly mud bug in Queensland. Not sure what the mud bug is. I'm going to have a lot of homework to do for my new listeners down under. So I am trying. I have been really hard trying to today. We'll get it. Well, even the entertainment news isn't that great. So let's see. Japanese encephalitis is now in Australia. That's interesting. And what do we have down here? Influenza, avian influenza. Bird flu is detected in a different poultry farm in that part of the country. And so, yeah, you know, every country has their own things they're dealing with, and we're a global community. We really are. I mean, if you think about it, if you decided today you wanted to go visit a friend in France, make some reservations, and within 48 hours, you could be on a plane with your passport headed that way. So, you know, it is what it is. So, Denise, I'm with you to a point. I'll go away, Twitch guy. So got a spammer in the Twitch there. Yeah, Denise, I'm with you to a point. But if you want, send me a message and I'll give you my thoughts on it. It's helpful, but not helpful. So, okay. So you see, there's dots all over the world here. You know, we can sit here all day and go over them all. It says there's 1,008 alert for all diseases in my current location and worldwide. That's a lot. But like I said, we're a big global community. So, all right, where am I at here? I need this one here. FEMA has failed me today. Well, let's update. Nope, they have still failed me. So I can't give you a FEMA daily operations briefing because, well, FEMA has failed me. And the last update is what we have from yesterday. Unless I'm incorrect, today is Thursday. Yeah, let's check just to make sure I wasn't asleep behind the wheel. So nothing new from FEMA, which is kind of surprising. They should have answered their email. So I did go to their website and get information. You can go to FEMA.gov/disaster/current, and you can click on what exactly they're doing. I found out that they have moved it off of their daily briefing to this site so that the specific individuals in North Carolina, California, Kentucky, West Virginia, as of today, can get help specifically in what they're doing. And Wendell says mud bugs are crayfish in New Orleans. Yes, they are, but I don't know what they are down in Australia. Soul says don't cross the tracks in Shreveport, Louisiana. Their water tastes like dirt. You know, I actually did receive some people talking about some water problems, and it was in the Northeast, and I didn't put this article out here for us, but it was saying because of, I want to say it was in New Jersey. I'd have to go back and look, but they were saying that because of the heavy snowfall and they had been putting so much salt on the road, when it melts, it runs into the wastewater, which runs into the reservoirs, which goes to the treatment facility, and the treatment facility isn't prepared to remove that high of a concentration of salt. So you would notice that the water was tasting salty in those areas. I thought that was pretty interesting. So Chris says, is it helpful in visually pointing out to those that need to know, who is willing to at least look like they are buying the narrative? Yes, and there is a narrative being published. Like I've said many times, and if you're new to this show, I try not be the doom and gloom of, if you go on YouTube and you look, there's plenty of preppers or plenty of people who tell you we're going to die tonight, the nukes are in the air, the president's in the bunker, the bad stuff's about to hit the fan. Yes, there's a lot of bad stuff out there, but my point in this podcast is we're going to live today, and we're going to continue to live today. We have problems we have to live through, diseases, natural disasters, things like that, but we are going to survive, especially Americans. We are tough, and we will band together in a crisis. So yes, if you want information on the specific things from FEMA, you can go to FEMA.gov/disaster/current, North Carolina, California, Kentucky, and now West Virginia. And you can specifically for the wildfire get updates. Since I'm going to run a little long today, I'm not going to go over each of those. But if you want me to, we can do that later. Let's see. So the president's daily schedule, I always like to cover this. You know, a friend of mine who works in the White House is in the press pool, says they talk about the 9 a.m. press call, and they say that that's actually inaccurate. The president's probably been there since about 6 a.m. Apparently, he likes to get up and be at work early, and he stays up late, apparently. So 9 a.m. was the in-pool call time for the press when they were supposed to show up. At 11:15 a.m., these are all Eastern Standard Times in the U.S. The president received his national intelligence briefing. And then at 12:15, which was about an hour ago, he was going to greet the Prime Minister of the UK and Great Britain. No, sorry, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Interesting. And then at 12:20, he's participating in a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And at 12:35, he's going to have lunch. But, you know, we go to this much detail. Can't they at least say what he's having for lunch? KG says, gotta love Google. Crayfish down under are called yubbies. Marin and Marin, I guess, and red claws. So, KG, what is a mud bug in Australia? Is it the same as our crayfish? So, yes, sometimes where cities get their drinking water is quite awful. Here in Atlanta, the lake that maintains our drinking water is probably the lake that more people die in yearly in the state of Georgia. They don't recover the bodies. So yeah, it's good times. Yes, yes, yes. So anyhow, yeah, I wish they would say what the president's having for lunch. Can't we see his menu? Come on, let's be real. Is he having a Big Mac? I want to know. And then at 2:00, which is 20 minutes from now, he is going to hold a press conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I would like to see that. I'll probably go back and watch that. Okay, here's one that I want to cover. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but it's not in my wheelhouse. So we know that today the president is going to sign a deal with Ukraine, and it's for a mineral deal. And basically, he's treating this as a business transaction. I'm going to have an opinion on this here in a minute. He's treating it as a business transaction to where we're going to get mineral rights and oil rights to guarantee the monies that we're giving or loaning to Ukraine. You can go to the Kyiv Independent and get the full text of this, which is the site I am on. And apparently they have agreed on a deal dated February 25th, and it will be signed apparently later today. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I didn't consult my paranormal attorney before doing this show. I'm going to actually send this to him and see if I can get some nitty gritty from him. But there's a lot of whereas and legal mumble jumble here. But some of the things that struck me, and Chris is saying, people are saying that no president has ever been in as early as I am. It's truly incredible. That's probably a Trump quote. As much as I like the guy, gosh, he uses a lot of fluff, hyperbole. He uses a lot of words to say nothing. That's a politician. Anyhow, some of the things here I don't understand. It doesn't exactly say where the money is going to, or where these minerals are going to go. It sounds like we're splitting them 50-50 with them. But in the bigger picture, as far as, oil, hydrocarbons, minerals, LPG, is the American people going to see this, or is the government going to see this and use it for the military? So I'm not clear on that. This doesn't really outline that, because this is only outlining the deal. This doesn't outline where the actual monies from these are going. Are we going to sell them as a broker to other companies? It doesn't outline that, and I wish that it did. I kind of doubt that it's going to make its way to the taxpayer, but I don't know. You're correct, Wendell. All politicians do that. So I got down here. Let me see if I can get to the part that I really wanted to get to. Like I said, it's a lot of legal words I don't understand, but there's one thing here that struck at me. Was it in 7? Where it talks about they're going to provide security. So, where is this at? Yeah, lasting peace and strength. Support Ukraine's effort to gain security. Participants will seek to identify any necessary steps to protect mutual investments as defined in the fund agreement. Okay, so here's my take on this. And I wish I could find the exact sentence. I'm going to look while I talk about it. What I think we're doing is, I think this is allowing private security, i.e. Blackwater, Dynacore, etc. We're going to go in and we're going to start construction and raising these things. Well, in the process, We're going to need safe airways overhead so that they're not bombed. We're going to need security so that they're not attacked. And then, since it's, as Trump likes to put it, an ocean away, maybe that's the UK. But at any rate, they're on the other side of the world from us. We're going to need to transport them, whether it be by air or sea. So we're going to need secure airports, and we're going to need secure docks. So here's my take on this. Now, I could be 100% wrong, but Trump is a business person, and he recognizes the fact that this is revenue and that we don't want, as Americans, boots on the ground. But we would have no problems as American citizens going in and protecting American workers that were there to seek the monetary gain from the minerals and oils. So my take on this is that this is us securing our money. We're getting something in exchange, which is a brand new deal, but we're going to be sending in private militias. This is just my take. But somebody's going to have to protect these contractors, these construction workers. You're going to have an infirmary. You're going to have a lot of things in place to get these, to harvest them, to transport and ship them. And they're all going to have to be secure, but we're not going to put boots on the ground. So my take is that this is going to go to the private industry, and we're going to have private militias in there. Like I said, Blackwater, Dynacor, etc. I personally have no problem with that, but I think that that's still putting us in kind of a precarious position. But I do also think that it will give us some leverage with the other side of the party trying to negotiate, Russia, because we're going to be saying, well, no, you can't have that because that's ours, and we're protecting it because that's where our stuff comes from. So that's just my take. Now, like I said, you can go to the KyievIndependent.com. They have an exclusive with the full text of it. It's all the legalese there. But if you read it, it talks about the security, maintaining the security in a volatile community. And so I think that's what we're going to do. Bigfoot. No, I was in the sandbox one time, and I don't ever care to go back. It was over 115 degrees, a windstorm. Absolutely sucked. I was only there for 14 hours. I don't know. No, it was less than a day. It sucked. I have no ambition to go back into a combat zone. No ambition. And that's what this would be. Hazardous duty. And once again, this is going to provide jobs. It's going to be overseas workers. They're going to get hazardous duty pay. It's a big deal. So I don't think it's a bad agreement because it gets us something for our time, and it's going to get them something in exchange. Not only are they getting funds to fight the war, they're going to get Americans protecting the airspace, the waterways, and the physical ground that we're harvesting this from. So I don't know. That's just my take. We'll see what happens. There's a lot still. This is a fluid situation, but that's my take. That's, like I say, I'm not a doctor, politician, nor a lawyer, but it's just an opinion. It's interesting. It's interesting. And I think that it might be the right thing to do. So, no, Wendell, I'm not going back to work in a war zone. Done that one time. All right, we'll continue with President Trump. And the Department of Homeland Security released a press release that said hundreds of thousands of criminals that were let in this country illegal. We are sending them home, and they will never be allowed to return. According to Washington, Secretary Noem stated, and I'm sorry, Chris, there is no picture, that under President Trump's policies, 20,000 illegal aliens were arrested last month alone, a single month, which is a 627% increase in monthly arrests compared to a total of 33,000 during a prior administration for last year. Okay. We'll just leave it at that. So since I couldn't get my FEMA map, I pulled up this map, which pretty much tells us the same thing. It's not as updated. We have the biological, which we did report in Texas and New Mexico, I believe a couple days ago, but it's larger really than they're saying. Still have the drought in, what is that, Oklahoma? No, it's not Oklahoma. That's Wyoming. Good Lord. I'm going to learn my geography one day. Let's see. Cat to human cat, H5N1. Well, as a sport cat, I need to be worried about that in Colorado. Up where you are, Chris. Public safety incident. Shots fired near South Elgin Elementary School. Did we cover that yesterday? I think we did. It's probably done a new thing to have shots fired up there. Hail and weather in Kentucky at the St. Louis border there. Arkansas, severe weather. Yeah, we're going to look at the weather here. Chris says he's pretty much buying anything Secretary Noem is selling. I'm with you. Let's see. So this is a headline that's made some news. It's a public safety incident. It's an IED. Now, I've read reports that it did kill one person. It's apparently the first known IED. Some are reporting in America, but supposedly it was 7 miles in Mexico. Apparently the farmer that was killed in the IED attack had property on both sides of the border, and he had went through his private gate, through his property, into the Mexico side. Now, this is the reports I've read, and the IED exploded, killing him and injuring his wife. There are going to be some repercussions, but as far as I know, no reports have confirmed saying that this was on United States property. So, Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is over. The Philadelphia Eagles won. What's up? You should know that. There's a drought in New Mexico. There's probably about to be some aerial things going on in Mexico. Let's see. Water accident. Coast Guard crews have rescued 3 boaters stuck at sea for 9 hours. That was off the coast of Florida. Miami, we know they had some heavy rain down there. Here we go again. Machete attack. We might have talked about that already. That's in Miami. So knife attacks, they're going to be on the rise, people. Keep your, come on, Soul, give me a break. You love me, you know it. You got the knife attacks and car attacks are going to increase. We talked about the fire in New York City. We're actually going to get into some fire stuff here in a little bit. Man, I am going to run way over today. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's go look and see down under if there's anything here, since I'm going to try and report for Radio X. Chris says he was away for a few minutes with the puppy. Did you mention yet or know about the weird situation with the death of Gene Hackman? No, I have not. And that is coming up. We're going to talk about that because that's important for several reasons. Australia, let's see what we got going on down under. The epidemic of the avian flu, the 4th poultry farm in Victoria's northeast. And it seems as though that's a common denominator. Fire. Australian firefighters were injured in a suspicious blaze in a gutted Sydney block. And once I start getting some feedback from my new fans and followers in Australia, we'll really start covering more information and data down there, because I think our American listeners will also find it very interesting. It looks like you've got some storms out to sea, but it doesn't look like, well, this one may affect you. Looks like this one is a cyclone off the Coral Sea, Alfred. If your system is like ours, it's the first name system. So it looks like that may affect you on your, I guess that would be your west coast of Queensland, and off to your east coast. Bianca, it doesn't look like it's going to do much inland. So, but you do have in the near future, apparently there's another one coming off of the west coast of Africa, a cyclone. It's in the Indian Ocean that could come your way. So, all right, I'm trying, so please bear with me, Australia. Radio X, I do appreciate you. Today is our first day, I think. So we're trying to get everything covered. All right, we're going to flip over. Two weather warnings. We talked about this yesterday. Minnesota, Nebraska, high wind watch. That's going to continue till late this afternoon. And apparently it's going to be a big thing. Maryland is always having text messages. Galveston Bay, marine weather, high surf advisory. Don't know where Yap is. High surf advisory. I don't know where some of these places are. I guess they're Hawaii. I guess I need to. Yeah, Hawaii. There we go. New England flood watch, small craft advisory on the coastal waters, and winter weather advisory for Maine and New Hampshire. There you go. Flood advisory in Tennessee and Missouri. That's going to be the western side of for my Tennessee listeners, and that's going to carry through the first. So keep your eyes and ears open for flood warnings. And we're still with the wind warnings in Wisconsin. Yeah. This is lake wind advisory. This is for us here in Georgia and South Carolina. That's coming off of the lake at the border in McDuffie County. And I'm stretched to remember the name of the lake. This is on weatherwarning.com if anybody wants to go look at it. Currently here in Georgia, it is 75 degrees. Unbelievable. It's fake. It's going to go away. I know it's going to go away. All right, the national weather map we have here looks like they're getting hammered up in the Northeast, pretty much upstate New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, all the way out to Bangor, Maine, Boston. You're going to get hammered. New York, it's hitting you. DC is just leaving you, probably in Baltimore, and the tail end of the storm is going to approach probably the Outer Banks later this afternoon. So, unfortunately, it will not be snow for us here in Atlanta. It's 75 degrees. We are actually under a pollen advisory. I pulled this up. This was from the GEMA website, and it pretty much gives advisories, shows them by county for everywhere in the United States. GEMA is the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland. Their map, of course, includes the National Weather Service radar, which we discussed about all the snow and rain up in the Northeast. Chris, over where you are, it looks like the only thing you got is some wind advisories, but that's going to be north of you. My son's in Chicago, so he's in the clear. Flying back home to Vermont's going to suck. Let's see. And Wendell had mentioned that there had been some earthquakes. He is correct. There was an earthquake, and it's not showing up on here, but there was one in lower Georgia there, as you can see. And that's southeast. It was only 2.3. There's no tsunami alert issued, by the way. There was a small earthquake in Alabama. It's not showing up there. But as you can see with the blue dots, there are earthquakes pretty much across the country. We just don't feel them. I'm not sure of what county you're in, Seoul, but it looks like there's been some little earth shakings in Oklahoma. Down in Texas, where Brenda and them are, there's always some earth shaking. This one looks like it was a 4.7, 5.0 right at the New Mexico Texas border. Of course, California is always having them, which is not surprising due to the topography out there. And all the way up into the Northeast. And there was the big one that Wendell talked about up in, let's go zoom out here, in Alaska. But as we can see, Alaska has lots of earthquakes, and it's just part of the region. And of course, we found out yesterday they have an active volcano. I did not know that. So learn something new every day. All right. So you also, if you'll notice the circular pattern of storm here out in the Pacific Ocean, it's affecting the coast of Alaska and my Canadian geography is failing me. British Columbia. There we go. It's affecting them with some high winds. And Chris will have your map. Tahlequah, Oklahoma, home of the tigers and many great beasts. Well, I don't know if I can I don't know where Tahlequah is exactly on this map, but you've had some shaking in Oklahoma City or Oklahoma. Yeah, in Oklahoma. I don't know what that's. McLean, Grady. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and go through all the counties, but yeah, there's some shaking going on out in Oklahoma. Let's see, Chris, we said you were good. I'm not sure where you are, Denise. I don't remember. KG, you are pretty much clear of everything, but maybe some rain. It looks like it's once again. Oh, it's already past DC, so you're good. All right. So, Chris, your favorite map, which I love, and we see, as we were talking about in the daily reports with the National Weather Service, up off the coast of BC and Alaska, that circular formation that's causing the gale warnings up there. And we see that the Santa Ana winds are not as bad, but they're still pushing down over the, I guess, the middle part of the country, the Northeast. And Chris loves this. I do too love this map. I told you can go to earth.nullschool.net or just search out wind map and look for the one on Earth School. And this is pretty cool. It's 3D, it's AI. It shows you pretty much up to the minute what the winds are. We see off the northeast coast where that snow is, that the winds are pushing in from the ocean, so that's going to give them more moisture. So they're going to get some snow. They're going to get some snow. And let's see here. Let's see if I can go down under, and I'm sure it does it down there. Good Lord. Oh, it's too far down under. Where am I at? Oh, I'm going to have to learn this. There we go. So yeah, it looks like that cyclone that was off of the east coast of Australia is pushing along the coastline, and it's not really affecting much inland. And the one on the west coast of Australia, it looks like it's pulling more from the lower part of the area and pulling moisture up and over the continent. So there's your wind in. If you want to see this, for all my listeners on yergsradio.com and Radio X, you can find us over on the Para Are Normal Guys, 3 words, guys with a Z, on YouTube, and you can see the visual. For Spotify, it's an animated 3D AI map. That's not, I guess it's 3D. No, it's not 3D, it's 2D. But it does show you the winds in the world pretty much up to date. And you can zoom around anywhere you want to go. And it is pretty cool. I will say, out of all the things we talk about, this is one of the coolest ones. This is the one I look forward to every day, whether it's good news or bad news, Soul. I enjoy watching it because it's relaxing. If we had some peaceful fish noises, with bubbles and swimming, that would just be perfect. That would be go to sleep weather. You can zoom in and out. You can show the whole globe if you want to, which is so cool. I could just sit and look at this for hours on end and zoom around. And, once you learn your geography a little bit, over in the sandbox where I was, there's not a whole lot of wind movement. I mean, there's some, but not a whole lot. And if you zoom in where we're probably going to be sending independent contractors, there's not a lot of wind movement there either. So, all right, we'll go to what's happening in the United States with wind. As we talked about, it's pushed over the Rockies. It's now pushing down under Chicago, back up over the Ohio region, and going out through the upper northeast in Maine. It says the highest wind speed sustained as of 12:33. Let's see if I can get this to update, because this was pulled up earlier. It may not update since I'm online. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, 133. There we go. The highest sustained winds in the United States are 30, I almost said 30 degrees. Yes, please like and subscribe so YouTube will think twice about Glenn for giving an opinion. Well, it is what it is. It looks like the highest winds are probably those coming from the Santa Ana, coming out through the desert over Phoenix, going out through LA and especially San Diego. That it drops down through the middle part of the country in the northeast corridor there under Chicago and goes back up through Columbus. And that's where the front is pushing all the snow up and out and tapping that Atlantic moisture. I sound like a meteorologist. I barely got a GED. Good Lord. I'm just a paramedic. What do I know about weather? And that little bit of swirl there down under Denver is just caused by the mountains pushing it back down through Texas and out into Mexico and crossing over partially into the Santa Ana winds. So, interesting fact, if you ever want to know, there's a map, and I can pull it up sometime if anyone is interested, where you can see turbulence on a radar. It's like a radar for what aircraft would experience. It would show it at what different altitudes. It was kind of cool, and I didn't know this except when I was flying. When you're flying, you have to constantly adjust your altimeter. So, in other words, the elevation in Denver is higher than it is here in Atlanta, obviously. You have to set your altimeter so that your plane knows to go up. If they tell you to maintain 30,000 feet, well, you're going to gain plus or minus 2,000 feet going over the Rockies, so your plane has to adjust. Well, also, as you see with the wind coming over the Rockies, the mountains, even the Appalachia, depending on what part of the country you are, causes turbulence. That wind hitting the mountains will also flow upwards, causing turbulence. So I found that interesting when I was flying, that you will experience more turbulence over the higher altitudes because of the winds on the ground. So a little geek knowledge for you. I apologize, everyone. We're running way over, and I apologize to everyone. All right, so we look at the power outages in the country. California, not to be surprised, there are 10,723 people without power. I suspect that is probably because of the high winds. So hopefully that's only a temporary thing, and they'll get it fixed. Chris, did I tell everybody to like, follow, share, and subscribe? Chris says, I had meteorology in college, the only bearable signs required for me to graduate. So I appreciate the portion of the show. Well, thank you, Chris. And I'm probably butchering it, so you can let me know. All right, so we're going to do the air now. You can go to the EPA.gov and pull up all the interactive maps of the air quality over the United States. And, well, we can see pretty much in the Northeast and the Southeast, we're in the moderate level. We're in the moderate level here in Atlanta because, well, it's Chris. Yes, you did. Did I butcher it? I'm sorry. I apologize. Because the pollen, which is probably going to go away because we're going to get another frost again. Oh, I did say like and subscribe, but didn't butcher it. Okay, well, thank you, Chris. Only really bad parts of the country are down around Tucson and El Paso where it is unhealthy. So yeah. Chris, you look like in the clear up there. My son's kind of in the clear. Well, no, he's not too high in the clear up there in Chicago. But yeah, the air quality isn't too bad. Let's see. I know this is only for the United States. It doesn't tell us. I will have to find a website to see if I can find the air quality for Australia. So I will do my due diligence and check on that. And I pulled this one up because Wendell had been asking about the fires. These are the local fires in the fires in the lower 48, and we see the smoke and smog is being pushed from the fires at the Georgia line there, right about Alabama, and pushing it down. And of course, this kind of follows the wind. If we looked at it earlier, it kind of circles down over Tallahassee, Tampa, and then goes out along the Outer Banks and out into the ocean, or it eventually will affect other countries. As you can see, there are several large and small fires in the United States. And I'm hoping with the high winds here in California that none of these escalate. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll get a FEMA update about that. So, all right. So there's the fires. And let's see. We'll do it real quick here. Oklahoma, we've got a couple little fires in the state. It looks like most of them are probably prescribed burns, if I had to guess. Chris, you're in the clear. There's really nothing up there burning per se. Amanda, it looks like you might have one tiny one that's probably a control burn. My listeners in Tennessee, nothing really significant. There's one that's probably a control burn. Yeah, it is a control burn, prescribed burn. So in the Hardwood Wildlife Resource Agency area. Alabama and Georgia, we always have prescribed burns, control burns. So there's good there. There might be 2 or 3 little small fires, but they're down in the southwest. And up in the northeast, it's still too kind of wet to have fires. So it'll be later in the season for them. And I think I got all my listeners there. Denise, are you still with me? I'm boring you to death. All right, we talked about this one yesterday, and I just thought this map was too cool to not show. Let's see if I can make this bigger because it's so much better bigger. That's what she said, right? Okay, sorry, bad joke. All right, well, we'll just zoom in. These are the weather balloons that are up and over us, which I just think is too cool. This one is this is up over Oklahoma, and it is currently at 10,587 feet, so it must be going down. And let's see, this one is over Huntsville, and it is at 77,979 feet. Looks like it started out of the National Forest. Wonder why they would start one out of the National Forest, and it's continued eastward. And we have one descending over Tallahassee. It originated over from Elgin Air Force Base, so I'm just going to go with that. Since it came out of a highly classified Air Force base, I'm just going to go with that's National Weather Service. What do you think, guys and gals? You agree with me? This one off of the Atlantic. Whoa, there's 3 of them off the Atlantic Ocean that come out of Cape Canaveral. So, yeah, it's NASA. And they got 3 weather balloons in the air. How about that? That one's at 29,000. This one is at 30,000. And this one, okay, it was a maximum of 110,869, but it's currently at 28,000. Go back and see what the maximum was on this. 111,984. These are some real high altitude ones that come out of Cape Canaveral there. Interesting. That's really high. That's really, really high. I will say the National Weather Service ones don't even usually go that high. Coming out of Cape Canaveral, who knows what NASA is looking at? We have one. The satellite tracker takes better photos. Yeah, the satellite tracker does. This one come out of Leesburg, Virginia, crossed over Baltimore, and it looks like it's going to settle down in New Jersey. Or no, that's its path. Sorry, that's their predicted path. All right. You were right about that, Wendell. I'm not going to say that on the air, but you were right about that. If you'll notice, a lot of these do come out of national forests for some reason. And I find that interesting. Let's see where this one originate from. Good Lord. This one's really hit that wind we were talking about. Holy cow, I got to zoom way out. This one was launched in Baltimore. I can go with Proving Grounds. Oh, no, it was a park. Okay. And it's traveled way up there, and it's over New Jersey. So this must be a civilian one because it only got to a height of 69,000 feet where it is currently located. Interesting. Let's see, what else do we got here? All kinds of them out on the West Coast. Now, this one's descending at 4,489 feet. It didn't make it very far. This one looks like it's moving pretty well. Where is it coming out of? Now, how does an weather balloon make turns like that? I mean, we just saw how the wind was. We literally just saw how the wind was. And look at how it's made those turns. How does it do that? It's at 52,000 feet. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, how does it do that? We just looked at the wind map. And this one is currently, so it's going down at 857 feet. But how does it do that? Where do these come out of? That's interesting because we just looked at the wind. How does it make a U-turn? That's physically not possible. How does it do that? I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. That one also come out of a grasslands preserve. Okay. I just don't understand how it does that. That one is descending. It's currently at 800 feet. No, I'm sorry. It's currently at 52,000 feet. My bad. It's at its maximum height. It's made a U-turn and going back opposite of what the wind was. Interesting. You just don't ever know. So this one, didn't we just talk about this? Groom Valley, Area 51. Look at this. They actually allow us to see one. Its maximum altitude was 67,913 feet. And look at all the red zones it's went over. Those are no-fly zones, by the way. The Nevada testing and training. They must really be curious about the weather there. All right. I'm going to leave it at that so I don't get shut down. But that's cool. So you can go to sondhub, SONDE hub.org and see these if you'd like to for yourself. There's multiple settings. You can see these. I just have it listed all the ones that are current and the ones that have recently come down, because sometimes the comments on the ones that have recently come down are pretty cool. You'll get comments like, I climbed over the fence, but the bull run me off and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. If you want to just go read that. But these are, I'm using air quotes, weather balloons. Just remember that. And this is for educational purposes only for anyone listening and watching. All right, we're going to go to the New England Fire Newsnet. And there really hasn't been a whole lot new come out over this. I mean, we've had some things, we've had like wrecks and things, but there's not been a whole lot new. There was a plane crash in Vermont. It was on top of a mountain. The flight originated out of Baltimore, and I think there was 3 people injured, but I don't know the extent of their injuries. It was never listed. It took a long time to get to the injured person. Or injured persons. Dallas, Texas had a 2-story wood frame dwelling fire on Webb Chapel. What do we have out in LA? That's probably the pallet fire from yesterday. Nope. This is a working house fire that was in Carlsbad, California. Here in Atlanta, gas leak, but that was yesterday. And there's probably 10 more today, knowing Atlanta. I don't think there's anything new in Atlanta. We're going to get into some fire news here in a minute. DeKalb County, yeah, this is not too far from me, but it was a large brush fire. We're getting the dry conditions, and we're going to get some brush fires here. What Wendell said, and what Chris, you could be correct, and what Wendell said there. I'll just bring it up in the comments. You can read it for yourself. Parkersburg, Pennsylvania, second alarm fire transmitted for, say transmitted, that means I called for resources. Heavy fire in a building, tankers requested. Oh, stop it, Soul. That's because of they needed extra water. So, Soul, I can't tell you everything you want to know. I'm not that brilliant. I try. Let's see. Wilmington, New York, they had a working fire. And I think that's pretty much it. There wasn't anything new here up in the Northeast. We're going to talk about some fires and some police incidents here soon, which I know was what you're all here for, right? Since we didn't have the nationwide map from FEMA of what's going on, I figured I'd, just for S and giggles, I'd bring up what's going on over in the other part of the world where there's current ongoing conflict. And you can see that it's quite active over there at the Russian-Ukraine border with airstrikes, drone strikes. One person was killed in a drone strike. There's heavy fighting along the border. So you can go see this at the marinevesseltraffic.com, which is this is a World War live map. You can flip it to other things, and it will bring up a military aircraft tracker. You have to go to their live tracking page. I probably got to sign in. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. We're going to leave it at that. If you want to see the planes, we can bring it up. All right, so I'm going to bore you for another few minutes, Soul, with some sports updates. College basketball, men's basketball yesterday was quite active. Kentucky was a winner. Vanderbilt was a winner. Michigan State, St. John, Connecticut, and Boise were winners. NBA, if anybody follows it, the Pistons, the Heat, the Clippers, and the Rockets were all winners. Nope, sorry. Yeah, am I showing yesterday? No. Yeah, yesterday. Show yesterday. There we go. All right, so yeah, that's correct. And women's college basketball, there was only 2 games. and I don't think, well, there'll be some spring training scores updated from yesterday, but no, yesterday. Thank you. Yes, so I know I'm boring. I can't help it. It's what I do. So yeah, spring training is alive and underway. The Braves are winning. The Orioles tied. I hate tie games in baseball. Cubs tied with the Giants. I just hate ties. I know. Yes, congratulations to Amanda on the Kentucky win. I know that I just don't like tie games. I know it's just spring training, but I don't like tie games. So, all right. So there's some of your sports scores. I'm not going to get into it real heavily with the sports because I know some people get bored, but I do like to at least cover it. And spring training is coming up. So come on. And we do have March Madness coming up with basketball here in the States. All right. So Gene Hackman, his wife, Elizabeth, and their dog were all found dead. Gene was 25 and his wife was 64. She was a classical pianist. His dog was just a dog. And he was well known for several movies. We'll get into that. Spokesperson for the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department has told People magazine foul play is not suspected. And at the time of the death has not been determined. The cause of the death has not been determined. The family has said that they suspect toxic fumes like carbon monoxide poisoning, which may have led to the deaths. So from there, we don't have any further information until the family releases it. As soon as this story came out, I knew immediately what it was. I knew that was carbon monoxide. Gene Hackman is known for his many roles. French Connection, Superman, Hoosiers, The Firm. His wife was significantly younger than him, I think by 30 some years, if I remember my math correctly. The Gas and Fire Department, and I looked for the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department for a press release and could not find one. They inspected to make sure the home was clear of toxic fumes, it was safe to search. That is something we do. When we respond to a medical call, if we go in and there's more than one sick person, little hairs on the back of our head stick up. If there's more than 2 or 3 sick people, it's time to pull back out of that house and reassess the situation because you're potentially making yourself a patient. And that could be because of carbon monoxide or other chemical mixes. Sometimes people will cleaning mix strong chemicals and cause toxic environments. When we come in with the fire department, I always enjoy being on the hazmat team because we used to tell the guys on the regular fire trucks, you call us to save you, because by the time you figure out you're in trouble, it's time for us to come in. So that was one of the reasons I enjoyed being on the hazmat team. We come in with meters that determine the parts per million in the air and how much toxicity there is in the air. And if you're able to breathe it without being on oxygen or not oxygen, on self-contained breathing. In other words, you bring your air in a tank. And what we do in a case like carbon monoxide, the first thing we do is we secure the gas, make sure the gas is off. We open all the windows, and depending on the situation, we may set up fans, which is probably what happened. This is actually not so uncommon. And I want to talk about this for more than one reason. This is a lot of times when you will find this with elderly, it's because of either they went and started their car, it was cold, and they left the garage door down. That's a common cause. Or they'll leave the stove on, or sometimes it's intentional. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's intentional and they wanted to pretty much cause this effect. It's unfortunate, but that is something we've seen quite frequently, especially with the elderly, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Of course, no one knows unless they specifically leave notes. A lot of times it is just an accident, but it is sometimes something that the elderly will do. So everybody, please, I said this yesterday, check your smoke detectors, check and make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. I'm a big fire advocate. You should probably have a fire extinguisher not only in your kitchen, you should probably have one in your bedroom in case you have to fight your way out of the house. And it should be a pretty big one. So always, always, always check your smoke detector. Smoke detectors and closed doors save lives. So Gene was an actor in 101 different things. I mean, gosh, he was such a brilliant actor. He could be the bad guy. He could be the good guy. I mean, he was more known for a bad guy, but man, he was in so many films throughout the years. He had such a great life in Hollywood, you know, Superman, Lex Luthor. I mean, that was brilliant. Young Frankenstein, that was great. He was in so many great things. He was such a great and brilliant actor. It's unfortunate that Gene Hackman is dead with his wife at the age of 95 today. I think she was 63. Don't know how old the dog was, but he had such a brilliant career in Hollywood. I mean, dating back to even before I was born in 1961. I mean, such a brilliant career. Hate to see him go. So, Gene, I hope you rest in peace, and your wife and your dog. But yeah, there you go. He hasn't been active in Hollywood. Oh, wow, has it really been 20 years? I did not realize that. Behind Enemy Lines, that was in 2001. Wow, I'm getting old. Yeah, Behind Enemy Lines is incredible. And a lot of these, he was incredible. I mean, you know, The Heist, The Replacements. I mean, come on, he just was a talented man. Like I said, the Lex Luthor. I mean, wow, wow. Yeah, he's in The Firm, Unforgiven. You know, there's so many you just didn't realize he was in. Mississippi Burning, another great movie he was in. Yeah, he was a great, brilliant actor. So, and he was a great Lex Luthor too. So, all right, so we're gonna move on here. We'll get into a little firefighting stuff. Firefighter was injured in a 3-alarm fire in Washington Heights, which was FDNY. One firefighter was injured while fighting a 3-alarm fire in Washington Heights, which is New York, FDNY. Wednesday night, the fire started before 6 p.m. on 191st Street, and it extended from the second to the sixth story. 130 firefighters and paramedics responded to the blaze. One firefighter was injured, and the Red Cross is helping to shelter 15 adults and 4 children. They're investigating the cause of the fire. One of the big problems in New York City is lithium batteries. People will have, since cars aren't such a thing, they'll have scooters and e-bikes, and the lithium batteries will overheat and cause fires. So if you have anything that uses lithium batteries, you should charge them somewhere where you can keep an eye on them. This even goes for the portable, like DeWalt's and the little portable drills and all your saws and stuff, because those are lithium batteries too. And if they overheat, that can cause pretty significant damage in a large fire quickly. Fire destroys a home, and this is also in New York. Ballin? I don't know. One firefighter is treated for burns. Apparently 8 adjoining fire crews responded for mutual aid. In other words, it was a more rural area, and they had to call for help. One firefighter was treated on scene for minor burns. Hopefully he will be doing okay. And it says that the Perth, Berkshire, Galloway volunteer, Providence volunteer, Mayfield, Northville, Edinburgh, and Hagman volunteer fire departments all assisted. Fire police, which is a unique thing to the Northeast, in the fire auxiliary, which is also a unique thing to the Northeast, responded and helped at the scene. So minor burns there. Multiple Franklin County agency responded to a fire that left 2 people, including a firefighter, injured. You can see there that it was quite a large fire. It's what we call a center core burn, meaning it started in the center of the house and it burns outwards. Those are some of the hardest to fight, because it's right in the middle of the dang house. Let's see. They were called to the fire this is in Tennessee, Franklin County. Several fire departments responded. Once again, rural agencies said they needed help. They said one person was trapped, but several firefighters were able to use a ladder to remove the unconscious victim through a window. They were transported to Vanderbilt Hospital. Their condition is unknown. Another person was injured, according to the sheriff, with minor injury, but the home was totally engulfed in flames. One firefighter was injured, falling through a set of stairs into the basement. Holy cow. I did not read that part before this, but he managed to walk out of the structure on his own. Holy cow. He got some scrapes and bruises and minor burning. That could have been so much worse. Yeah, falling through a basement on a fire like that, that's bad mojo. Bad mojo. One thing they teach us in the fire department, and we do get lazy, is we sound the floor, which means we take our tool and we hit the floor in front of us as we're walking to make sure it's solid, but it's not always accurate. I mean, you can't always see. I was fighting the fire and there was a hole between, just inside the front door, between me and the crew that was coming in behind it. And I was yelling on the radio for them to back up because I couldn't come in the front door and they were coming towards me. And that hole was between me and them. And if that, and the fire had originated in the basement, that could have been fatal. It could have been very bad. So yeah, you have to always watch that. Georgetown Company firefighter sustains minor injury during a building fire. This is in South Carolina. One firefighter was injured, according to the assistant chief. They're battling flames in a pair of storage buildings. I think we've said this before. Storage buildings are some of the nastiest for firefighters because we don't know what's in them. You know, it's like a surprise. What are you going to get? We're going to get the meth lab, or are we going to get grandma's furniture? Luckily, the firefighter was only injured with an ankle sprain. No other firefighters were injured, so good deal. And for our last update of the day, this comes to us from the city of brotherly love. A police officer was injured in a crash with an ATV on North 22nd Street. The officer was assigned to the dirt bike detail, collided into the back of the male on the ATV. The officer was taken to the hospital, egg injury. He's expected to be okay. And apparently the male operating the ATV was arrested at the scene. That is a new thing. You will see in large cities, groups of people suddenly appearing out of nowhere in very urban areas on ATVs and motorbikes, and they're not there for good purposes. So that's a thing that you will see a lot of. Where did I go? I wanted me to be on there. I wanted to hide this. So yeah, so watch out with them and their knives. So that pretty much wraps up. Man, I went way over today, and I apologize. We're at an hour and a half. Well, I say somewhere between an hour and 90 minutes. So but yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I scanned through some other quick headlines. Yeah, the firefighter falling through the floor. Let's see. There was a pursuit in Tennessee with arrests. Okay, nothing major there. Yeah, so I kind of scan through the headlines, get to you what I can. Sometimes I pick and choose a little bit. Too many people store cars in those storage units when they shouldn't, and the gasoline puts you guys in unexpected danger. Yes. There is a picture. I have a group on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it's called Public Safety Professionals. Just go ahead and ask to join. I share a lot of things there. There was a fire in, I want to say it was North Carolina. At any rate, it was a tractor and trailer, and the brakes had caught on fire. And there was no placarding on the truck. And the placards are those little signs that they put on there that tells police and emergency agencies. And you can download and get the DOT guidelines book for free online. And you should. That way you know what's around you on the streets. You will be shocked. And there was no placarding on it, but the fire didn't make it past the brakes. It only got the outside of the truck. So they popped the truck to make sure it was open. Lo and behold, there were several LPG tanks from the middle of the tractor and trailer to the forward of it. That could have been much, much more deadly. You're not expecting and not prepared to fight that type of fire. You think it's merely a vehicle fire, and boom, there you go. So, all right. Well, I have rambled enough. That's pretty much all I have. I'm sure there's going to be other breaking news, and I will watch these other shows to see what they're saying about how we're going to die. I keep seeing some of them saying there's going to be a major market crash. I haven't seen or heard anything other than the people in social media saying it's about to happen. Don't know. I don't really follow the market, but if it does crash, we'll keep you updated on it. Other than that, my friends, I appreciate everything. The links are in the comments if you want to buy me Mountain Dew to keep me caffeinated. I certainly could use it this morning. I got off to a little later start than normal. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. You have a great day as well. And anybody that is listening on Radio X or Yerg's Radio or Rainbow Radio, please come over and find us on the YouTube channel, the Para R Normal Guys, 3 words, guys with a Z, and hit that thumbs up button, like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can find me on most social medias as Sportcat or Sportcat Medic, and you can find the podcast over there as well. And I was saying, if you didn't check out last night's show, we usually have shows that are lit with great content. Last night was off the chart. I have to say, short of some sound problems, the show was just great. So go check it out, last night's show. And please, everybody, hit that thumbs up button. Have a great day. If there's something specific you want to hear, you can get in touch with me in the comments. Wendell says, great show. I didn't go to sleep. Well, I'm glad, Wendell. You must have went to sleep during the show last night, or I know you would have been all up in the comments. Yeah, if you want to send me something, my email is in the comments at sportcat@protonmail.com. And I also have a voicemail there if you want to send me a voicemail. You can catch me also currently right now. I'm on the Thin Line Rock Station every Tuesday and Thursday between noon and 1400 or 2 o'clock for you civilian folks, playing some rock and roll music. I take requests if you have one. Wendell, I did message the program director for the country and western musician that you were asking about, and the program director has yet to get back with me, which means usually he is researching and looking. So, yeah, check that out. And I guess that's it. Everybody have a great day. And thank you to Ross at yergsradio.com and Rainbow Radio, Radio X in Australia. Thank you. I am still learning. Please bear with me. Everybody have a great day. And for those of you in Australia, a great morning. Sportcat is out. I will see you in 24 hours. Maybe, if I can push a button. There we go.